Hey y'all, I am back with another video. I have been reading, okay? If you follow me on Goodreads, you will see that I have been busy with the literature in preparation for this video. I had some reads that I really wanted to get in before the end of October. It didn't work out that way. Work, school, my other YouTube channel, home obligations, it didn't work out like that. But I got them done. And these reads were supposed to be horror reads, like darker reads that I wanted to, for the theme of the month. And you know what? I shouldn't even say that because I read like dark stuff year round. It doesn't matter. But I got them done as of this morning, 4 o'clock. Okay? Because there was a book I just could not put down. So it's 3 books I have for you all. And if you don't already know, I'm going to tell you. Most of my reading takes place on my Amazon Kindle app. I have a bookshelf, but it's kind of bare bones. Okay, don't judge me. All right, but I promise you, my e-library is filled with the books. Okay, I'm going to be referring to my tablet for this video. The first one is called Hide. This book came recommended by a Goodreads advertisement last month, like top 100 or all-time best-selling horror reads, and I like the cover of it. The book was really good. It definitely gave me the vibes I was looking for, and I have never read anything by this author. The author is Kiersten White. So we follow 14 competitors, and all of them have been lured in different ways into signing up for what they think is a reality show. Reality show is a hide and seek game in an abandoned amusement park. The goal is to be the last one not found, and they win $50,000. They just have to make it 7 days. This book follows Mackenzie Black. Mackenzie, she also goes by Mac. She prefers to be called Mac. Don't call her Mackenzie. Mac has had a very traumatic upbringing because her father killed her mother, her little sister, and her grandparents, and then offed himself. So already coming in with the trauma, right? She hasn't had a very stable living situation at all. Fast forward like 10 years or so, I'm thinking. Present day, she's living at a shelter, and the woman who runs the shelter pulls her into the office and gives her a flyer. She doesn't really trust people. Why is this lady giving me this opportunity? This just don't seem right. But at the end of the day, either she stays in this shelter, right? She really doesn't want to be there. She doesn't really want to be anywhere. The girl has major trauma, major depression that she's dealing with. Or go out here, win this $50,000, and disappear to wherever she wants to. She goes with option 2. That sounds like a very enticing offer, right? $50K for a game of hide and seek and all I gotta do is not be found. Thinks she has a really good shot at that, given her being alive, because she hid so well that her father didn't find her and kill her. She arrives at the location where she meets the other 13 competitors. People are different age ranges, from different backgrounds. The ass hat, you have the beauty queen, you have the really awkward odd kid, you have the eager guy just excited to be here, you have a struggling writer. These people, though, the one thing that they have in common is that they are desperate for different reasons, and this 50K could help open up and change their lives. So they're greeted by a older woman. I think her name is Linda. And Linda is the host. She's, explaining the rules. They have to sign an NDA. There's no phones allowed. There's not even service to their phones where they're going. Explains to them that from dawn until sunset, they have to hide. Okay? And they really shouldn't, they can't come out to use the bathroom, for food. They have to hide. Okay? If they are found, they're out. She doesn't explain who's seeking them. She kind of lets it slip that 2 are going to be out per day. There's no cameras around, which they think is odd. Again, it's 50K, it ain't that big deal. She explains away that it's a pilot, but they're being watched. It takes place in an abandoned amazement. It's called the Amazement Park. And she explains that back in the 50s, a lady opened up the park, but after a child went missing from a very prominent family, the decline of the park occurred and shut down. Mac is like the lone wolf, right? She goes out, she's on her own for the first day or so. Mac does not want to work with anybody. She's about getting this money and getting out, right? As time goes on, she starts to open up just to the presence of one of the competitors named Ava. And Ava thinks that they should team up, to at least for the first couple of days, to have each other's back. So they do. By the 3rd or 4th day, Mac and Ava know that something is wrong. One of the things the host, Linda, offers them is an opportunity to have an advantage if they find an old leather-bound book. She doesn't say what's in this book, what it's for, just that if you find this book, you'll have an advantage. One of the competitors does find this book, and what he discovers in it changes everything he knew about his family and the place that they're in and who's looking for them. The competitors that are being found are not even coming, they don't even have the opportunity to come back and say, bye, I'm out, I gotta pack my stuff and leave. They don't even get that opportunity. And by the 4th day, the lady doesn't even come back. She has left just a bunch of supplies and food for them, and that's it. When they return one day to the little encampment site that they can go and replenish their supplies, there's a pool of blood. Huge pool of blood. Some of them that are still remaining think that this is just a hoax, it's just a part of the game. The producers are trying to scare them. But Ava and Mac and Brandon, they know something's wrong. For most of the book, you don't know who's looking for them. Okay? And you just read about like what they hear, and what they eventually see. And eventually okay? And when you know, there's no going back. All right? Like, there was a point, because I was reading this like late one night. There was a point where I was kind of like scared to turn the page because I'm like, oh my gosh, who is looking for them? And I wouldn't want this 50K no more. I would not want this 50K no more. Like, get me out of here. But there's no getting out. Eventually, they find out who is seeking them. Eventually, they find out that the show is not what it seems. Nobody is walking away with this $50,000. Mac knows that she cannot do this alone, that she does not want to do this alone. She's tired of being alone. And she works with some other competitors to try to escape. One of the characters was just like such a good guy, so honest and just eager. He didn't even like sign up really to get the money. He just wanted to be outside of his normal day-to-day and to meet people and to even make friends. And the way his story ends is like so sad. Like, I was not ready for the tears. I was not ready for the shock factor of what happened and why it happened to these characters. It's definitely a horror read. Because at the beginning I was like, okay, the cover looked kind of, creepy. It's giving me those vibes. It really was like a bit, I felt like, when you're reading, you imagine what's going on. And I felt like I was watching a scary movie. Like, most definitely. The ending threw me just a little bit because I like stuff to be in like a, nice little bow. If you like scary reads, if you like things that are going to keep you on the edge of your seat or the edge of your bed, the edge of the bench at the park, wherever you reading your book, pick Hide by Kiersten White up. The second book I read was Sacrifice by Rin Chupeco. This one started off very strong. This one again had me like, oh, I'm watching, imagining this taking place as if it was a movie. So there's an island in the Philippines that's regarded as dangerous. It's mysterious. People have disappeared. A plane has crashed near there. And the locals around this island believe that a god sleeps there. They refer to this god as the Dewata, or foreigners regard this god as the dreamer. Legend has it that 8 sacrifices are needed to awake this god. And once the god awakens, the world will start anew. So on this island, there are reports of ghosts, voices, screams, figures lurking in the foliage. Like, if this don't tell you something that we shouldn't be here, I don't know what does. Okay? But not everybody believes in that type of stuff. So, of course, Hollywood is going to monetize off of it. So, they decide to send a camera crew to film a show. And if you don't know, now you're going to know. I love paranormal shows, okay? I watch Ghost Adventures, Dead Files, and I watched this show called The Curse of Oak Island, and I swear to you that I was like, oh my gosh, here's a book that is going to give me what I like to watch on TV. They get there and they're looking to find a guide for this island to help them speak to locals, get the rundown of what happened here. But they are able to find a local girl named Alon, who tells them right off the bat, super candid, pulls no punches, very straightforward, that you shouldn't be here. Now, the government of this area has forbid people to be on this island, but money talks. This American filming crew pays the government enough money to allow them to film on the island for the show. So Alon really isn't interested in getting to know the foreigners coming to this island. For a lot of the book, she refers to the characters by their characteristics. For example, there's this one guy who shows up to the island in an Armani suit. So she calls him in her head, right, Armani suit. But she's very respectful. She'll say, sir, no, sir, da da da. But she refers to him as Armani suits. They don't believe that this is real. Alon does. So do the locals. And she's not doing this for the money. She truly believes that their lives are in danger. So she's willing to be there to help them navigate and to continue to warn them of the dangers. Within 48 hours of them setting up their different camps and bungalows on this island, a huge sinkhole opens up. And at the bottom of this sinkhole, they discover what's called a balete tree. And woven into the trunk of this balete tree is a dead body. Of course, they're trying to rationalize what they're seeing. Oh, this is a prank. How long has this been here? But they're filming a show. So this is prime real estate what's happened. The lead investigator of the show, his last name is Hemlock. And he's not scared. He's like, let's get down here. Let's film. I want to figure out what this is. I want to find this treasure on this island. And I want to know more about this God's power. And there's a good momentum to this book, right? They're navigating the island. Things are happening. They're seeing things in the forest. And the things that they're experiencing aren't being caught on camera. The cameras are not catching what they're seeing and experiencing. But despite all of this, they're not going nowhere. They're here to shoot a show. They've invested time, money, resources. There's contracts that have to be fulfilled. They're not going nowhere. Now that's crazy to me. If I'm seeing, hearing things on a restricted island, oh, I'm gonna get out of there immediately. I might like to watch that stuff. Don't mean I want to experience that stuff. Okay? Around the 60% mark of the book, I'm pretty sure it's the 60% mark of the book because I notated it. The story takes like a hard left. The pacing in terms of the dialogue between the characters, their actions, just these things, these events weren't well timed. It started to feel like a B-rate movie on Tubi. Like, have y'all ever seen Tubi movies? If you have not, please check out Tubi because you'll know what I'm talking about. It started off like a pretty good sci-fi movie, okay? And then it turned into a Tubi movie. It's almost like the author wanted to make sure you understood the plot and the history and the story, that the author kept having the characters talk about it like over and over, like excessively so. And I feel like we got that as the reader. We got that by the 60% mark. There was, but then it's almost like they felt like we weren't getting it. It started to be like not well written and not well acted out. I was kind of disappointed towards the latter half of the book. So if you like Tubi type movies, then you might like this book. This last book had me up to like 4 o'clock in the morning. This book is called One Dark Window by Rachel Gilling. The first book of a duology. I don't know if the second book is gonna be the last book, but right now there's 2 books out for this series. When I tell you I couldn't put it down, I had to make sure I got it done for this review. It was amazing, okay? This book fell more on the gothic fantasy side, and I appreciated it. Like, it wasn't what I intended for this review, but I loved that I picked it up or downloaded it for me to read. So the story takes place in a kingdom called Blunder. Blunder has been plagued by a living mist. The mist came to be because of the spirit of the wood. This entity 500 years ago was worshipped by the kingdom of Blunder. They would go into the wood and leave gifts for the spirit. They would ask the spirit for help. They would worship this entity. And came along a king who wanted to barter with the spirit to get powers, okay, abilities. And the shepherd king wants these powers, these abilities, to be put in the form of cards. These cards are called the Providence cards, and there are 12 of them. There are 12 types of cards that make up the deck. There's, I think, 76 or 72 cards in total that were created, but there's 12 types that make up the deck. As time goes on, the Shepherd King keeps going back to the spirit to have cards created. And each time he does that, he has to sacrifice something. When I tell you that the author wrote this so well, so like, there's poetry in the book, there's riddles in the book that are so well written, very romantic and whimsical, but you get the dangerous tone and message, that the author's trying to convey. So for example, nothing is free, nothing is safe. Magic is love, but also it's hate. It comes at a cost. You're found and you're lost. Magic is love, but also it's hate. Here's another one. The ties of blunder are strong. Family, magic, kingdom. They hold us together, guiding us like the seesaw ropes we leave in the mist to find our way home. One is blood, the other salt, and the last stone. Keep all three and don't let go. The ties of blunders are strong. There once was a girl, he murmured, clever and good, who tarried in shadow in the depths of the wood. There also was a king, a shepherd by his crook, who reigned over magic and wrote the old book. The two were together, so the two were the same. The girl, the king, and the monster they became. The king comes back for one last card, and he has to make a pretty big sacrifice for this last card. As a result of this, he angers the spirit so much that it surrounds and locks in the people of Blunder with a killer mist. Also, as a result of him making the last barter for a Providence card, some people in the kingdom come down with the fever they call the infection. And the infection, if the person survives it, the person will gain magic. Since the Shepherd King, the only legal way to use magic is to have a Providence card. Anyone who comes down with the infection and blunder has to be reported, and they're taken by either the king's soldiers, which are called destriers, or by the medical scientist soldiers called the physicians. We meet Elspeth Spindle from a prominent family in Blunder. She comes down with the infection at the age of 9. Eventually, Elspeth actually recovers from the infection. When someone comes down with the infection, they gain magic. Her ability is that she can absorb the power of the Providence card that she touches. She touches the Nightmare card and absorbs what she initially thinks is some type of beast. She refers to him as the Nightmare, as so is called his card. The Nightmare gives me the entity in her head, right? The Nightmare gives me dark Cheshire cat vibes. The characters are so well written. The creation of the deck and what each card does is so awesome. I can tell when a book is really good when I'm reading it, when I actually start to like act out, monologue what the characters are saying, accents they may have, and what they look like. And then I start like reading aloud the book, and then I put like an inflection or an accent on the character that I'm reading. So it's 10 years later. On the way home from the celebration at the king's castle, she is captured by highwaymen. She comes to find out is the nephew of the king. His name is Raven Yew, after a yew tree. Raven and his family and the king's second son are trying to gather all of the Providence cards to not only lift the mist and cure those that are sick with the infection, but also to save his youngest brother. He wants her help to find all 12 cards. That's going to be difficult because the last card, the only one of its kind, has not been seen since the time of the Shepherd King. If you like shows like The Rain from CW, or shows where there's historical drama and fantasy mixed in, gothic tones, this is definitely a book you should pick up. I liked everything. Like, this is a 5 out of 5 for me. For sure. For sure. I am super eager to finish the Shepherd King series. And I will let y'all know how it goes. So hopefully there's at least one book out of this small list that you can add to your bookshelf or to your to read list. Until next time, be well, stay blessed, and be unapologetically you.